Dankjewel Frank voor deze introductie. En bedankt Google dat wij vandaag de DEPT Talks in de Johan Cruijffzaal mogen organiseren. Johan Cruijff had ooit een wijze uitspraak: als je niet kan delen, kan je niet vermenigvuldigen. Nou, Google laat zien dat ze ook kunnen delen in deze ruimte, dus dank dat we het hier mogen hosten. Mijn naam is Willem Vlon. Ik leid bij DEPT de Data and Intelligence Teams. En ik ben vandaag jullie host, dus ik probeer jullie een beetje wegreis te maken tussen hier de plenaire sessie en daarna de breakouts. Dus heb je vragen over het programma, dan meld je bij mij. We hebben vandaag een viertal talks die we aan jullie willen presenteren. En die gaan over AI, over hoe je artificial intelligence, machine learning en data science kunt inzetten om jouw bedrijf te innoveren. Om de interactie die je hebt met je klanten effectiever te maken. En daarvoor hebben we een mooi programma opgesteld voor jullie. Allereerst zal Christian jullie introduceren in de wonderenwereld van artificial intelligence en personalisatie. Dus Chris zal heel erg inzoomen op wat zijn nou de begrippen en de aanpakken die je kunt hanteren om die interactie met jullie klanten te verbeteren. Dat is het concept, dat is een plenaire presentatie die Chris aan jullie zal geven. Daarna hebben we 3 breakouts die in verschillende zalen plaatsvinden die ik jullie zo zal uitleggen. En de eerste gaat over de techniek achter AI. Job is een van onze data scientists. En Job is heel sterk in het implementeren van alle slimme algoritmes en alle slimme machine learning oplossingen die wij bedenken. En Job doet dat onder meer op basis van de Google Cloud technologie. En in de breakout zal Job daarover uitleggen hoe hij Google Cloud inzet om niet alleen machine learning toe te passen, dus beter te interacteren met je klanten en de voice toepassingen die Frank net beschreef echt te kunnen inzetten, maar ook de stappen die je daarvoor neemt. Want voor veel bedrijven is machine learning en AI misschien nog vrij ver weg en een abstract begrip. Wat Job heel goed kan doen is jullie uitleggen hoe je er morgen mee aan de slag kan gaan en welke stappen je in jouw organisatie kunt zetten op dat gebied. De tweede breakout gaat over een toepassing. Frank noemde al voice. In deze breakout gaan we het hebben over chatbots. Hoe je nou kan interacteren met chat en met slimme assistenten die je kunnen helpen om de juiste keuzes te maken voor zowel nieuwe klanten als bestaande klanten. En de derde breakout is van Axel. Axel werkt bij Google en Axel is de specialist op het gebied van de Google Assistant. Nou, die heeft denk ik voor menigeen al terrein bekend. Google Assistant heeft zowel een voice als een chatoplossing en daar kan Axel jullie mooi in inwijden. Axel die zal daar een deep dive in geven. Dus ik denk dat het heel erg gaaf is dat we zowel een stukje concept over hoe je AI kan inzetten kunnen bespreken met elkaar, als een technische toepassing, als 2 oplossingsrichtingen. Dat is het programma van vandaag. Wie zijn wij? Voor degenen die DEPT niet kennen. Wij zijn een digital agency, oorspronkelijk vanuit Nederland opgericht, maar inmiddels in 11 landen actief met 1150 mensen. En we houden ons bezig met eigenlijk 3 onderdelen. Dat is data, creativiteit en technologie. En dat proberen we echt onder één dak te doen. Dus dat zijn geen verschillende onderdelen binnen DEPT, maar we proberen geïntegreerd dat voor klanten zo goed mogelijk in te zetten. Daar hebben we verschillende teams voor gecreëerd. En die teams die houden zich day-to-day bezig met dat specialisme waar zij goed in zijn, maar wel altijd met als doel om de business van onze klanten digitaler en interactiever te maken. Wat ik al zei, we hebben DEPT Talks zoals vandaag die we organiseren, deze bij Google. Maar ook de komende maanden bij ons kantoor in Amsterdam organiseren we een aantal DEPT Talks. Dus jullie zijn ook van harte welkom in de komende maanden andere DEPT Talks te bezoeken, zoals een aantal voorbeelden hier op het scherm te zien zijn. De eerste spreker van vandaag is Christian, die heb ik er net al geïntroduceerd. Daarna krijgen we dus 3 breakouts en die 3 breakouts vinden in verschillende zalen plaats. Dus let goed op waar je zo meteen naartoe kan. De eerste breakout is van Job en het is het idee dat we parallel naar de breakouts gaan. Dus je gaat niet van 1 naar 2 naar 3, maar je kiest er 1 uit. In Annie M. G. Smit, in Noot of in Kroket. Mooie zaalnamen en Google bedacht. En dan kun je, en misschien kunnen deze mensen even hun hand opsteken. Marit voor de Annie M. G. Smitzaal kun je volgen. Frank, die hebben jullie net ontmoet om mee te gaan naar Noot voor breakout 2. En Elise voor breakout 3 in Kroket. Dus kies één van de Googlers om mee te lopen naar de breakouts. En het is het idee dus dat je bij alle drie een keer zit, maar je hoeft niet per se in deze volgorde ergens terecht te komen. Maar dat zal zichzelf gaan uitwijzen. Nu het woord aan Chris.
Dankjewel. Lose my coffee first. Right. Good morning, everybody. I've been asked to do my presentation in English because we're also going to record it to be able to share it internationally. So I'm a Dutch guy, but I'm talking in English today. I hope you can follow. Probably will do. My name is Chris. I'm responsible for data and intelligence at DEPT in the Netherlands, and we're working actively on trying to find ways to start using the power of artificial intelligence in all kinds of concepts, both on the platforms we deliver and in the campaigns we do. What I would like to do this morning is take you through the different phases of how artificial intelligence is coming to us, both as business people and as consumers, and to see where the possibilities lie for you as a company or as a marketer to start using the possibilities here. Now, AI, it's kind of a broad topic, right? Artificial intelligence is like, it's a word in which you can put a lot of things, even going up to the self-driving cars and the Terminator robots and whatever you think of it. But a lot of that is way in the future. And I want to talk a bit more specific on something that you could apply today, on a lot of concepts that are available in the market at the moment and you can start using for your business. I want to bring that back to machine learning, which is a part of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence as a whole is broader. So machine learning, it's been around here for decades, and it's only become something that we're applying actively recently. But even if we go back a couple of years, especially since the introduction of neural networks, that is a technique that certainly gave this an enormous boost when we were able to start implementing all kinds of artificial intelligence concepts on a higher pace. Now, neural networks, they're a pretty complex thing, they're hard to grasp, and it's not something that you on a daily basis would start interacting, but this is a moment where we started applying it more and more. Really in the financial and logistical business, it's been around for ages already. In the marketing, it's been relatively new, but there's a lot that we can learn from all the concepts that are already being applied in these other branches that we can start working with. Machine learning. Let's start with a small definition, a simplified definition. It's a technique that makes predictions based on historical data. And there are two key concepts in this phrase which I would like to emphasize. First of all, predictions. So the idea is that we start predicting behavior or interactions or activities that your users will do based on the historical data, so the data that you have in your platform, in your campaigns, in your CRM system. And based on the data and the patterns that we are able to find there, we can start making predictions on what people are going to do, what they might need, etc. So those are two key things. That's still quite broad, right? What can we predict? What data can we use? What concepts are applicable to that part? There's a guy called Kai-Fu Lee, and he wrote a book about it, which is called AI Superpowers, and he breaks it down. And he starts talking to the different forms in which we will encounter AI, from the big, broad, high-level things to the really small consumer electronics that will encounter us on a daily basis. And he talks about it in the concept of 4 waves. 4 waves. So the idea of a wave is, like on the beach, they come in a consecutive way. All these waves will hit us, but they will also come in a certain order. So I want to talk you through the 4 waves that he describes, how we will start encountering all these different artificial intelligence applications. And the first of them is what we call, or what he calls, the Internet AI. And this is where, the big internet giants like Google, obviously, like Facebook and Netflix and Spotify, they start using the power of machine learning in the optimization of their services. They have, of course, enormous numbers, enormous volumes with which they can work. So improving the search engines, improving, for example, your Spotify Weekly, the content updates there. Now, there's a couple of these really big giants that can use all interactions, all data that's happening in their platforms to be able to optimize their services. We don't all have the luxury of being Google or being Spotify, so you probably don't all have the same amount of data. So that makes it sometimes also difficult to apply the services at their level, because they can measure every interaction and start doing alterations with the enormous volumes they have, but you might not have the same ones. So this is a difficult one to compete with. Then the next one would be the business AI. And this is where it gets interesting, because this is the kind of concepts that these big internet giants are applying, which you can start applying to your own service. And as mentioned, for example, in financial or logistical services, this has been going on for quite a while. But this is also interesting because, for example, into predicting how your stock will go, how your users will interact on converting, for example. There's a lot of algorithms and services that you are able to apply as a business, which we go into detail in a moment. Then the third one, perception AI, that is when it starts hitting us as a consumer. So the first one, couple of big companies working on it, then businesses start working on it, so it becomes a bit more close. But perception AI is where everybody as a consumer may encounter all these artificial intelligence products. And the Google Glass is an example from a couple of years ago, which was one of the first steps into this perception AI. Of course, Google Glass was a really nice concept, but we don't use it on a daily basis at the moment. But this was the first step where there was a consumer product in which certain services were included. A more recent example is what I did from Bose, the sound company. They now have also a glass, but it doesn't look like this weird glass, but it's just a regular consumer glass. There's no screen or beamer or something inside, but there are it's not per se a box, a sound system, but they're electronic devices which vibrate, and therefore they create sound in your head. They sort of produce that to your ears. But it incorporates roughly the same services which were present in the Google Glass. So there is navigation, you are able to do voice control and text and messages and call people, etc. So all the Google services are in there. So it's a consumer product which you were able to use. And you have the Microsoft HoloLens, for example, that has vision, but it's still like a concept. These consumer products where these services are included, they will come more and more, so everybody will encounter it. Then the autonomous AI. This is more in the distant future. This is the self-driving cars, the robots who are self-sufficient. And although it sounds really cool, let's be honest, we're not there yet. There are no self-driving cars gonna hit the road this year yet. We'll probably all encounter it, but this again, for us as businesses, is a bit more difficult to encounter, although it sounds pretty cool. Now the last two, both the consumer electronics and the autonomous AI, having these glasses or consumer products, or producing these self-driving cars, or if you're in the robot business, producing a Terminator. It's a cool concept. It might sound appealing, but it's not something that we as businesses or marketers will work on in the short future. While in the business AI, this is where you can start applying all kinds of artificial intelligence concepts, today, tomorrow, because these services are available. So this is the part where it could be really relevant for you. And let's dive into a couple of examples there. Yes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The whole idea behind business AI is that you can start focusing on smart enhancements. The self-driving cars, that's a big concept, and it's an enormous project and a lot of iterations. Before it will go live, it will take years. The idea behind concepts within the business AI is that you do these small alterations which will make your service and the interaction between your customers and your company a bit more easy. And although the first steps might be time consuming, as soon as you start going into it and start adding more and more of these concepts, it will start to become time saving, both for your company and both for the people that interact with you. There's a couple of categories in which you could say these smart enhancements can be applied. And they're all categories in which all kinds of services are already available and you could start applying them at the moment. And I want to take you through a couple of these just to give you some idea on what's available already. First of all, cognitive services. So everything related to seeing, to images, etc. At Google, you have the Image API, the Vision API. And what it could do, for example, a really interesting case, Google has, of course, a lot of knowledge about images with the search engine, with Google Photos, of course, with all the image recognition they're doing. And a nice example is, and this is this small smart enhancement. If you are a client at an energy company, you need to put in your Meterstanden, that's an interesting word to translate to English. So who has a suggestion there? Okay, yeah, of course you know, yeah, that's cheating, but still, thank you. Okay, so meter readings, you need to put them in the app. And you need to do that every once in a while. But it's meterkast, that's another one. You know meterkast probably as well, right? No, okay, you get what I mean. It's dark, you have to use your light, you have to type it in. So this really smart enhancement, a little thing, is make a picture, upload it in the app, and Google will see this image and recognizes, hey, there's numbers there, and will translate the numbers to the actual amount that you need to put in your app. So it's a small thing. The Vision API is present, so you can start upload images, let the computer extract the numbers from that image. Another example which is widely used already is the verification of official documents. So if people need to send in a passport or driver license or whatever, you can use all these different services already there to verify whether this is an official document or not. Widely available services already in the market. Another interesting thing is speech to text. So the example that Frank just gave, you can use it when your arm is broken, but there's more appliances where you can really well use it. And an interesting one, especially related to customer service, is you have probably a call center or customer service agents, and whenever somebody calls that customer service agent, there's this tape before the actual conversation starts that says this conversation may be recorded for quality and etc. for all kinds of purposes. But who's going to listen to all these recordings? I don't know if anybody listens to all of them or just picks out a couple. But there's an enormous database of all these recordings that contain all customer service conversations you have. If you would translate those to text, so use the speech-to-text API, just feed it with the recordings, text will be fed back to you. And once you start working on your chatbot, your digital customer service agent, this database you can create of all these previous conversations can be a really valuable basis to train your service agent, your digital service agent, or your chatbot. And with all these audio recordings, you would not be able to do so. You had to start feeding it manually and update it manually. This can be a really valuable basis to train whatever digital service you have there. Another interesting one, natural language processing. So what we also encounter in a lot of digital service agents or chatbots at the moment, now you can feed it with a certain intent. A customer has a question, you want to answer that question, so you're going to feed it with example questions. But if people start typing and actual service questions start coming in, there will be all these little variations in all the questions. And you have to feed the system with what they mean and how they work. But the natural language processing API makes it more easy to see, hey, this sentence has a certain intent, has a certain meaning. It can relate back to the database you built of the speech to text of your previous conversations. So it can really help in interpreting what questions are coming in, but maybe also translating, for example, the frequently asked questions database you have. There's a certain intent, there's some knowledge I already have, there's some previous conversations. So connect these services and start feeding back an answer that could probably help. All existing services you could apply at the moment. All right, that's more on cognitive services that are already available. A second really important thing which you can work with is whatever data sets you have present at the moment. And the interesting thing there is a part of machine learning is that you can leverage the power of transfer learning. And transfer learning is a principle within the machine learning, within the AI. I'll describe it shortly. If we want to learn something, say I want to learn French, then I have to get a textbook, learn French, and learn the whole thing from the basis. If a computer would do the same process, the first computer that wants to learn French needs to learn French, but the second computer can take all the knowledge that the first one had as a basis and start adding up to it. So if you translate that back to algorithms, if you have an algorithm or a service, you feed it with, for example, all your previous customer service conversations, that knowledge is a basis. And a next algorithm or different service you add on top of it does not need to be trained with the whole basis set, but can take this first level as a starting point and start adding up to that. So a second service or second machine has a basis and you start adding intelligence on top of it. A third has a bigger basis and you start adding more information on top of it. Now this is interesting when you start looking at your own data sets. So The example I want to give here is also related to customer service. Let's say that you are an e-commerce shop, you're a clothing brand. Let's say that I, as a customer, have jeans, and these jeans have worn out, and I want to buy new ones, but I've had them for, let's say, a year or two. So of course the collection has changed. What I can do is I can make a picture. I can send it to the customer service, or in this case use an image API that's available. The image API will recognize, hey, this is a jeans, or these are pants. But you could say, okay, I take the Vision API as a basis, I take the image recognition that tells me this is pants, and then I start adding my own information on collection. So this is label XYZ, this is a certain type, so that a customer service agent can receive this picture and say, oh, you have these pants, and in our new collection we have this product which is kind of similar, so you can help people finding a product which they're looking for. More interesting application would be if my car broke down, and I look at the floor and I see this thing lying around, so I need a new one, but how would you call this thing? I don't know. And then you need to call up the car store, say, yeah, this thing was lying on the floor and you need a new one, what does it look like? This is a difficult conversation. You have the Google Lens, and then you'll just make a picture of this thing. It translates it to whatever the name and the type is, which makes the service conversation so much more easier, because you can recognize what the product is. Once again, take the existing API knowledge as a basis, start adding your own information to be a bit more specific, so you can use it in whatever customer service conversation. Does anybody of you have the Google Lens app on their phone? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Is it only Google is raising their hand? If you make a picture of this thing right now, then, okay, so there's one grabbing his phone.
It's also integrated in the Google app.
Then somebody can probably tell me the type number of this thing. So let's see what happens. Rapapa, rapapa.
It doesn't give any new service.
Yours quicker?
Nah, that's not the same one. Okay, I tried this once before, then somebody had it like, it's called a, I don't remember what it's called.
Once more.
Okay, once more, now we want to have it. No, okay, too bad. Maybe this is too difficult to parse. So, a third category would be everything related to yield management. So the stock you have of products or services that you have available. And a bit more in generic terms, let's say that this is your inventory. And this could be an inventory of products or car parts, but this could also be an inventory of, for example, hotel rooms or campsites or whatever thing that people can book or buy that has a limit to it that will be sold out at a certain point. Let's take the travel for an example. You probably, if you have a lot of hotel rooms or vacations to sell, from historical data you probably know that a certain part will be reserved fairly easily and a certain part will remain, for which you will have to do all kinds of marketing to sell that remaining part of your inventory. So you're probably going to do discounts and all kinds of commercial activities. But the thing is, how wonderful would it be if you would know in advance, for this part of my inventory I don't have to do anything because it will get reserved, and this is a part that needs extra attention that I need to put effort in. So whatever marketing or other activities that you're going to do, you can make it more efficient because you know what part that needs this attention. You can predict both, when will this happen, what part, which people are interested, so there's a lot of services available to start working on your yield management. And the fourth category is related to segmenting and targeting. And that is, taking the work that we actively do already, but then on steroids to make it more efficient, more personalized. So for example, and we can connect these two, we have people that want to book a certain inventory or that want to buy a certain product, but we can also predict whether they will do so or whether they're just browsing and looking around and they're not having a high conversion intent at the moment. You can take, once again, your historical data, feed algorithms on it, create click patterns and then start mapping real-time conversion behavior on the click patterns that you found. So that you can start relating, hey, this person is showing interaction that looks like he's going to convert, and another person is showing interactions that look like he is not going to convert. And in this example, you could say, okay, the people with 0% intent, I'm not going to do anything with them because they're not interested in my product. The people with 20% intent, let's see what I can do to get that percentage up. Maybe the people with 95%, once again, you say, okay, I'm not going to do anything because they'll buy anyway. By the way, these are all assumptions. You could do just the opposite. So the 95%, they're highly engaged. I only need a small amount of effort and they will convert more. Could also be true. So it's really interesting to see an AI service providing output, in this case, a conversion intent percentage, and working together with the marketeers and with the creatives, how to apply that output, in this case, how to apply that percentage. It's also interesting to start combining all these different services that can be delivered through machine learning. So for example, let's not only look at the percentage of intent that a person has to buy a product, but also look at, for example, the possible value that they have. From historical behavior, you can see, hey, this person buys products and he returns everything that he's buying. So instead of having a positive contribution, this person has a negative contribution. Now that you know that somebody has a really high intent, but probably has a really negative impact on your business, you're going to do something completely different. You're going to exclude him from campaigns. You're going to probably show pop-ups in the website like, are you sure you want to buy this? Or can I help you? Start adding customer service proactively to make sure that you prevent something from failing, either a return product or whatever customer situation you're going to end up into. So a first concept will already help, whether somebody has a high intent, but you want to start adding all these different concepts on top of it so it becomes more efficient over time. Another interesting example is, for example, related to segmenting. And this is an example we did for a fashion brand where we started looking into previous buying behavior and started making segments based on the buying behavior that people showed. And we created a couple of segments, a couple of target groups with a certain focus, and we gave them names based on the behavior we saw. Let's, for example, take the sleeping spenders, number 1, and the loyal champions, number 4, as an example. There's a small difference between them because the loyal champions are people that are coming by, let's say, every month, buying products, that are really interested in whatever new products you're offering. And the sleeping spenders were people that did so, but it's been quite a while since they were coming back to do another purchase. So you have people that you are really engaged with, and you have people that used to be engaged and you want to reactivate. Because you know this small difference, you're going to do different marketing or different personalization within your store. You could say, like, these personas, I can just think of from my marketing knowledge, from my theoretical knowledge, and start creating campaigns and content to reach these personas. Now, of course, this is something that would work, but the big difference between the theoretical persona and the data-driven one is that, one, it's the data that shows which personas you have, so they will probably be more accurate. But two, and that's the most interesting, you can pinpoint who is which persona. So instead of creating campaigns and just hoping that you reach the right target audience, you can now say, I know that you, for example, are number 7, you are a hardcore wardrober that buys a lot and returns everything, so I'm going to treat you differently because you are a wardrober. And if you are a sleeping customer, I'm going to give you discounts, but I won't be giving discounts to everybody. Now, another concept that you could already start applying at the moment. So, to summarize, machine learning, a technique to make predictions based on your historical data. And as you've seen, they could be predictions and services in all these different fields. And most importantly, all these services are already available. You don't have to start building these self-driving cars. You can start applying all these smaller concepts. A last thing to be really aware of, but also start doing things with, is the data that you have. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, it all falls back on data sets. So you want to make sure that your data is available and preferably clean and structured, but that's more of a wish that we can work with it easily. But make sure that, especially that it is there, that is not locked behind all kinds of legal barriers and technical barriers. In order to profit from whatever possibilities there are within the machine learning, you want to have your data sets available. You want to have more and easily accessible. So if you have audio files, make it text. If you have images, make sure that there's tagging applied so you know what is in those images. And go on and go on. Connect the data you have, make it accessible through APIs or have people available that can make it accessible, work together with people that can make it accessible. GDPR is of course a big topic here. Can I share this data? Can I work with this data? Thankfully the answer is still yes. Just make sure that you have consent and make sure that you have proper security and that you can show your consumers what data you have of them and that they're able to delete it. That you can still start doing all these kind of concepts. So it definitely does not make this impossible. You just need to be a bit more aware of it. So accessibility is not something that is being taken away, it's still there. All right, just do it. It's available, the services are there, they're out in the market. And the road to AI is simple, it's to just do it. Thank you very much.